What's the difference between scientific induction and just superstition? How is it that superstition works? Superstition is something along these lines. Every time I knock on this table, my neighbor comes in, knocking on the table, and the neighbor don't have anything to do with each other. But then I believe, because every time it's happening, this is a nice correlation that is being established here. Or every time I sacrifice this goat, rain falls. And so I am very justified by induction, the same kind of scientific induction, so far, to believe that slaying goats causes rainfall. Why not? Or like in the example on slide 10, every time the fortune teller has predicted the future correctly, so far, so I am justified by induction to believe that the next time she'll get it right. What's stopping me? Nothing. It's the same kind of induction, which is a big problem for science, because science claims that it has some superiority over this superstition idea. You believe in fairy tales, you believe in horoscopes. Who are you? We are the scientific community. We have a scientific method. We generate facts and knowledge and etc. Well, it's all based on induction. And if it's that kind of induction, it's the same exact thing that generates everything else. Is the problem clear? Does anybody have anything here? Please, admins on stage, if you can help me, bringing people up, etc. Answering people in text. It's way too fast for me to read and speak at the same time.
I have a quick question.
Yes, before we go, yes.
A person who's realized that their superstition is not true, then would probably not continue to believe that superstition is true. And this is a form of inductive reasoning. And actually, some people have actually gone as far as saying that superstition has been described as a byproduct of adaptive behavior. So I would think maladaptive behavior would rely and hold on to superstition, but adaptive behavior, once a person realizes that is no longer true, then they would adapt and move forward.
I'm not sure if I should be talking a lot about this, because this takes us into somewhere else. But very quickly, to answer your question, two main things. Thing number one, I don't know if this is the case. But there are superstitions all around the world, and they continue to exist with us, and they promote survival as well. Quick example: whenever we're teaching someone to use a firearm, what do we tell them? We tell them, hey, assume always that your gun is loaded. Even when you know for a fact, even when you check 10,000 times, always assume your gun is loaded. That's a superstition. That's not true. Whenever you check that the gun is not loaded, it's not loaded, period. It's actually against the logic of induction itself, or the logic of basic observation, or whatever it is that you want to use as your basic method of knowledge. It's against it. It's against every fiber of it. However, we continue to do it. We always tell people who drive for the first time on the road, always assume that other people are bad drivers. Never rely on someone else's reflex. Rely on your own. That this is not true. We know that some people are good drivers, some people are bad drivers, some people are excellent drivers. Assuming that other people are bad drivers all the time is superstitious. It's just not the case. But we continue preaching it, we continue entertaining it, because it promotes survival. And so I'm not sure if survival or benefit or whatever it is that you want to control it, what you want to call it, can actually be controlled by this self-correcting mechanism. Some things, there are billions of people who worship one god somewhere, and billions who worship some other god somewhere else. And from the scientific perspective, they are equally, how should I say this politely, non-factual superstitions. But they continue. And so I'm not sure how much this changing your mind with that, with something that has to do with benefit or survival. I'm not sure if this works all the time. That's the point.
I feel like we're making this distinct, or we're conflating like what you think is true versus like how you should behave. Like with the gun example, it's a good example. Like I can handle a gun, and if you ask me, is it loaded? I say no, but I'll still treat it like it's loaded. I still won't point it at my head. I still won't point it at you. And I can say why, like, well, do you think it's loaded? Like, no, I know it's not loaded. I've already checked twice, but I'll still treat it that way because I'm just like, I'm more concerned about my muscle memory and my habits.
Is it only about that though? Is it only about that? Is it only about this muscle memory? Because you can totally train your muscle memory to do something else.
I'm trying to build good habits, basically.
That's superstition.
And is that a superstition?
Well, yeah. You can say, wash your hands every 10 seconds, and that's a good habit because you don't know what happens, to your hands every 10 seconds, what you touch, etc. And if you use this soap rather than the other because this is holy soap, or you can add whatever you want to this, and this is you can't say it's not a healthy habit. It's just superstitious. It's too much.
Some behaviors seem to have high downside and no upside. Putting my hand through an unknown type of flame has no upside to me, whether it's going to cause no harm, or whether it's going to sever my hand, or whether it's going to make my hand slightly colder than it was before. I don't know what kind of flame it is, so I'm not going to touch it. Some flames I won't even look at. Right, like electrical arcs or something. So I think there seems to be a difference between what I know and what I'm willing to do. Seems like there's a difference there.
There's also maybe closer to the to more controversial aspect of it. Example of Pascal's wager. Basically, you can be an agnostic or an atheist and live as if, like there was some sort of deity, meaning like having some sort of social and moral norms that are aligned with the practicing religion, whatever it is, and then having a functional society or functioning in the society, but still not believing in it, so like or believing in karma or something like this, but at the same time having like a rational argument against it.
Just to clarify, it's a wager. So we cannot prove or disprove the existence of God, and therefore, since it cannot be proved nor disproved, someone who would gamble on the existence of God because of the consequences that might arise. This is the reason why it's called a wager.
No, I agree, and I don't want to make that a center point. I was just kind of trying to use as a more example that is more controversial, but still in line with what Shamash was presenting, because I completely agree with him. Every time passing by rustling bushes and acting as if there was a tiger there has a higher and better probability of survival. But we know for sure that maybe 90% of the times there's no tiger in the bushes. They're just rustling because of the wind. But it will help us survive.
Yeah, and here the boundary between what is superstition, what is just faith taken for face value, and what is absolutely demonstrated, it's scientific knowledge. But the boundary here becomes very gray, and this is the catastrophe. This is not the catastrophe, but the problem that the Hume is referring to. So, four answers we're going to talk about today to this problem. First one on slide 11, if you're following with me.